Welcome to this week's episode of the Proper Crows podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you may be watching or listening at the moment. Your ongoing and continued support is very much appreciated. Tonight, we're going to be going through the big win from Saturday night against the Giants, all things Tex, your feedback on the game, the SANFL result, and much, much more. Not just myself here this evening. I am joined by Dom. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Rare back-to-back appearance for me, so I'm ready to talk some Crows football after a nice big win, which was not shocking, but not nice to see.
More comfortable than expected, but yeah, no, good to see.
Yeah.
And of course, Matt, how are you, Matt?
Yeah, very good. It was obviously a very enjoyable win. Tex kicking 6 goals, which was unbelievable. It was just a great night at the Adelaide Oval. It's one of the more enjoyable games over the last few years in terms of just not being stressed and just being able to enjoy a good four-quarter performance and cementing ourselves in the official finals, not this wildcard crap we've been dreading the last few weeks. So that's nice. But yeah, it's all about who we play from here on out.
Absolutely. And Dom, what were the scores on Saturday night, mate?
So it's 24-13, 157 our way to GWS 15-11, 101. Goals, Tex kick 6, obviously, as Matt said. Rankin kick 4. Phil, Keys, Fogg with 3. Rashford 2. And then McAndrew, Curtin and Cumming with 1 each. Changes to the team. Peatling is out with that groin. Archie was managed, which I don't hate. And Toby Murray was omitted. With Tex, Neil Bull and Miller coming back in. Yeah, I think Matt probably summed it up pretty well pretty quickly. It was a great night at the Oval. One of the rare games this year where I think we were pretty relaxed. The whole night, really. That first quarter was electric. Kicking 8, I think it was, really kind of set the tone. And as much as the second quarter wasn't great, you probably... I got a little bit nervous, but then, we seemed to settle pretty well after halftime and didn't seem like we really got out of, maybe second gear, which was, again, pretty nice to see. And, the players you expect were on fire, as usual. Rankin's in some of the best form we've seen from a Crow in quite a long time. I think I read a stat where it's best 8-game run since Dangerfield in 2015. So that's definitely saying something about the way that man's playing at the moment. Yeah, for once in my life, I don't have much to complain about this week.
I think Rankin's performance is really, since the showdown onwards, I would say is probably the highest rated player in the league. Could be wrong there, but I can't think of anyone that's been as consistent as he has over the last 2 months now. And obviously now hopefully playing his first final in his senior career. Didn't play the last year's one, obviously didn't play any prior to that at the Crows and the Gold Coast Suns. So very exciting. Hopefully no sudden injuries or anything happens and he can have an absolute blinder in the elimination final, which will be Saturday night in not this weekend, the weekend after, hopefully, not against Collingwood.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, Saturday night, it was just, like you boys have said already, you summed it up perfectly. It was just perfect. All went to plan. Even pre-game with the Dogs beating Melbourne, everything was just sort of falling into place. And that's kind of what made me worried, being like, oh yeah, fate's in our own hands now. And we know what normally happens when that happens. But I think we kicked 9 goals in the first quarter and just really put it away early. And yeah, they came back in the second quarter a bit. But after halftime, like you said, Dom, we just settled and just got on top and stayed on top, and we were able to celebrate Tex, which was very, very enjoyable, very emotional evening, but it was, very enjoyable to watch.
It was great. I unfortunately didn't get to see the pre-game. Shout out to all the peanuts at the sock club I work at that made me stay 40 minutes after final whistle because everyone on earth needed treatment apparently. But luckily I got to see a little bit of it afterwards on socials and stuff, and I'm upset I didn't get to see it, but what a night it was. It was, I think, probably the perfect send-off you could really ask for someone of Texas stature. It would have been nice if he'd been paid that mark in the last 30 seconds to kick 7, but we move. And, all round, I think it was a great performance. Like you said, I was a little bit worried going into it purely because, like you said, it was up to us to win. We finally got a result go our way, and the stars were kind of aligning, and it seemed like one of those games where we go in pretty confident, and then it just every now and then, you get that feeling at the start of a game, and you're like, oh boy, this isn't going how we want it to. But I never got that. It was unbelievable, and I can't really fault anything, to be honest. Fantastic to see us play attacking footy. I will say that. Hopefully that is something that stays around in finals. Obviously the stat man Dose isn't here, but he has sent us a nice little stat that I'll read out for you guys now. So I'm sure you guys have read it already, but we had 174 handballs, only 80 or so meters gained, which isn't great, but we are 7-1 when we have over 150 handballs and average about 5 goals more. And again, it just proved it on Saturday night when we moved the ball fast, and we actually looked for those handball receives rather than taking kicks down the middle or out wide. It tends to work well, and it kind of goes into what we were talking about last week, where it seems like we've got the talent to play that way. We just choose not to a lot. And I couldn't be happy with the way we played. Really, it was exciting. It was fun. We were kicking big scores again, and given, I guess, if you had to find a negative, leaking 100 points probably isn't great, but GWS are no slouch in terms of their attacking prowess. So like I've said 4 times already, I actually don't really have much negative to talk about, which is rare for me these days.
I think on the highest score, it's just occurred to me. Last year, we kicked, I think, 8 goals to the 5 or 6 goals in a win. I think both teams have essentially tripled their score on the back of that, which is, I wouldn't know too many games where that has occurred in. But yeah, it's obviously having a lot better weather this time did help. And Giant season was over. I think more so the fact that both teams sort of just went out, put on a bit of a show. It was more, we essentially had 6 spot confirmed, just needing to win the game, and I think it was pretty inevitable that was going to happen after the Bulldogs. We can say they did us a favour, but I think ultimately that depends on who we play and what happens from there onwards. But to finish top 6, it has been something that we haven't thought being overly confident about the last few weeks. So just to lock it in, very relieving. And I think having a week off is massive. I think, and as I said, whoever we play, we should enter as favourites. Obviously, there's a team we don't want to play. Maybe some do. Some of you people out there are very sick that you're kind of been preying on it. But, we can get onto that later. But, having this week off, massive. Giving the likes of Archie an opportunity to come back from their week off. I think Peatling will probably come back as well. So near enough a full-strength team, obviously, without Zachy Taylor, who won't be playing for a few weeks, which is unfortunate. But, other than that, a near full-strength team to look forward to leading into the finals.
Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look. We sort of touched on the real positive there of the attacking style of footy that we've been crying about all year and how we haven't been playing it. I suppose now it's just a matter of, keeping that play style around into the finals, and we can see, we've seen what we can do when we play like that. We can put up big scores and take it up with the best of the competition. So fingers crossed that sticks around. But let's just talk about Tex for a while. So obviously his last home and away game at the Adelaide Oval, his last home and away game in general, 6 snags, was just doing a bit of absolutely everything. To be honest, he was clunking marks around the place, but you could tell the boys were feeding him. I think he had 3 goals in the first quarter, and was just having fun out there. And it was just great to watch him wind back the clock and just be able to appreciate him as much as we did on Saturday night.
I think I said it a few times. I think I said it to Campaign at one point when we were having a chat, and I sent it in the message as well. I can't believe this man's retiring. It still doesn't necessarily feel real to me, I don't think, especially watching him perform on the weekend. It just feels like he's got so much more to give, and obviously, he's given half of his life to the club, so you'd never ask him to continue if he's done. But, man, it's going to be such a surreal feeling next year knowing that he's not going to be out there, and it's almost like a nothing to do with his form kind of thing, which makes it a bit harder, I think. Sometimes when players kind of trail off towards the end of their career, it's like more of a okay, let's like celebrate. Like obviously we're going to celebrate Tex. He's one of the best to ever do it for our club. But he's just such good form too. Like love aside and stuff, I'm just like, fuck's sake, mate. You've got so much left in the tank. Go another year. Like, see what happens at the end of this year. And if we don't win the flag, round you go again, big dog. But yeah, it's you can't say anything but good things about the great man. He's been through so much adversity. And he's still managed to turn it around. All Australian a few years ago. He's still playing really good footy now. It's unbelievable what he's doing and what he did on Saturday night. And it's as much as we can try, I don't think we're ever going to replace him on the field and off the field.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's definitely not someone who's going to be ever replaced. I saw an interesting conversation on Facebook between a couple of people. Do we retire the 13? Is he at that sort of level?
I don't believe in retiring numbers. I think there's a massive opportunity. There's a massive opportunity for another player to not fill the shoes of Tex, but to be another power forward. I wouldn't know if Archie Ludovic turns into half the play he does. Maybe 13 could be his. I'd love to see another forward grab it one day, but I don't want to see a number 13 being worn by anyone next year. I think just give it a few years, obviously, and let the dust settle. I remember when Andrew McLeod left, we eventually gave the 23 to Jared Petrenko. When Rashudo left, we gave it to Paddy Dangerfield, and then somehow ended up on Troy Menzel, which is another rant for another day. I think it ended up on Troy Menzel, did it?
Yeah, it did.
He was 32.
Well, there you go. So you can get not throwing too many strays, but you can get it horribly wrong when you're passing around a legendary number. So. It's. I would say probably next year and the year after I would leave it and then see which player flourishes enough to deserve to win number 13. It's a very sacred number. It's been Texas number the entire duration of his career since he was drafted. So it'd be surreal to see another player wear it. I think it'll take a long time to get used to. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, for certain. Speaking of that, the number 23 that you just mentioned there a moment ago, Matt, we had Isaac Rankin, who you mentioned is in some of the best form of his career, probably the best form of his career, one of the best players in the comp over the last 8 weeks or so. 35 touches, 4 goals, 12 clearances, 845 metres gained, if you don't mind. And he was just taking a piss on Saturday night. He's stealing the ball out of players' hands to kick goals. He's just, casually lacing it from the pocket, doing absolutely everything. Do we reckon he holds this form into September? Because if he does, he puts us in a pretty good position no matter who we come up against.
There is not a single doubt in my mind that he's not going to carry this form over. He is built for finals. He is, even before he was having 35 and kicking 4, he was a difference maker. He's an excitement machine. He doesn't necessarily need to have the stats he's getting at the moment to impact games. All it takes is a couple moments for a bloke like him and he can turn a game on its head. And the fact that he's racking up so much ball kicking goals, like he truly is a difference maker. And I can't really, there's absolutely no reason why week 1 of the finals he's not going to come out and have 35 and 4 is pretty outrageous, so I think I'll park that. But 30 and a goal, which is pretty reasonable for his standards at the moment, I can't see him dropping off. If anything, I think he's only going to trend upwards. Like I said, I think he's built for September, and I'm so excited to watch him under lights finals footy. It's going to be electric. I'm so keen.
Yeah, 100%. He's just in special form. Like I don't know, he's absolutely everywhere, through the guts, up forward. He's playing down back a little bit, off half back, and just doing absolutely everything. So we're very fortunate to have him running around. And like you say, hopefully the form does continue and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So more of that, and it puts us in very good stead. And he's obviously a person that opposition teams in the finals are going to have to pay close attention to, because he can just turn a game on its head so quickly. And hopefully he's like the former 23, not Jared Petrenko, the one before him, makes September his own and just dominates basically.
Yeah, 100%. And I think On the retiring numbers thing, I think Matt probably summed it up pretty well in that we definitely shouldn't give Tex's number to anyone straight away. I think that's definitely a wait and see. Like, I think there's so much pressure attached to giving numbers like that to players that you got to wait till they're ready. And obviously, I think Ludwig's definitely got the minerals to get there to be, worthy of the 13. But it's going to piss me off if they give it to someone next year. I'm not going to lie.
I think
Yeah.
if, when Isaac Cumming was drafted, there was talks he might pick up the number 13 after Tex retires. But I think, look, it's just number 13 obviously hasn't always been a forwards number. I think Ben Hudson, the ruckman, at one point had it. So I would personally rather see a key forward be number 13 and thrive in number 13 over the years. I think, as I said before, Ludovic potentially maybe is the best option for that, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. If he continues to, get going. And I mean, typically in the club, it was Shane Ellamore in the grand finals. He wasn't traditionally a backman, but kicked 5 in 97. So, it works as a forward. Betty Hudson, that's all I can think of off the top of my head before text. But yeah, you're right. It's, I think looking to someone to grow into it and earn the right to wear it like an Isaac Rankin did when he was wearing the
Yeah.
22. And it was, we'll see what
On
happens. But
on
I don't really want to
on
see it worn next year either.
Yeah, on the topic of changing numbers, obviously with Rory Sloane retiring, he gave the number 9 to Nick Murray, and there's massive talks he might be off to North Melbourne on big money next year. So again, potentially opens up an opportunity for someone to take another iconic number, which has been worn by two greats in Tyson Edwards and Rory Sloane. So yeah, I mean that's another thing we can talk about post-season if it does eventuate, though. Not so much now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. Geordie Dawson, just another Jordan Dawson game. 32 touches, 5 tackles, 5 clearances, and again, just doing absolutely everything all around the ground. He's in spectacular form at the moment as well, and that's very good to see. And another one, continue that through September, and that puts us in good stead no matter who you come up against. If you got Rankin and Dawson firing, you're very hard to beat no matter who you're going up against. So what do we say about this guy? Every week it's the same thing of him just, doing the same thing. And I'm lost for words because for the last, all of last year and all of this year, we just talk about how good Jordan Dawson is. And I don't have any describing words for it anymore, I don't think.
I don't think it
That's
was his
kind of where
best
we're at.
game. Yeah, I don't think it was his best game overall. Still had another 30 plus touches and all that, but that's obviously the bar he does set. He's had some unbelievable performances. I think we can go through every game this year. In my opinion, his best game was probably the Marvel Stadium game against the Western Bulldogs. He kicked,
Yeah.
I think, 3 goals in the first 10 minutes of the game, and those games are sort of hard to top. But I think the team was so well balanced. Even players that had been in horrendous form leading up to this game had some really good games themselves. So, yeah, look, we can go through the whole team sheet, and it'd be hard to pick anyone that had an underwhelming game. I think even players I thought that weren't that good, you kind of check the stat sheet later, they end up having great games. So it's just the dream way before a final to play and everyone be in good form and good spirits, because it hasn't been the most harmonious 2 months. We had a stinker against Port, an even bigger stinker against Collingwood, and then the worst win in our history against Richmond. So hasn't all been smooth sailing post-bye where, we racked up those 3 wins. So three good wins in a row against Geelong, Melbourne, and the Bulldogs. So yeah, it's a great way to end the season. No guarantees we have the best opponent imaginable in the finals. It's just you never know. I mean, the teams that we can go up against, obviously Melbourne, Collingwood, Western Bulldogs. It's real take your pick. Western Bulldogs won round 2 this year against us, but they were a very well stacked team and had a much better team they do now then. So even Melbourne kind of falling off a bit, losing that last game. Don't know how confident they'll be entering a final against Adelaide should they beat Carlton. So yeah, you can never underestimate your opponent. I've seen us lose countless games where we've been primed to win in finals against lower opposition and then it hasn't eventuated. Can list so many, but we'd be here all night. So yeah, it's all about just getting the right team mindset in place, and I think we've done that really well after what I saw on Saturday. It was a very promising performance.
Yeah, for sure. Any other players that stuck out for you boys that you wanted to talk about?
Well,
I have.
you can
Oh,
go,
you
Dom.
go, mate.
Oh,
Oh,
no, you go.
I have 2, and they're both key forwards. Riley Thilthorpe and Darcy Fogarty put on an absolute clinic. Um, Thil has, I don't even think he would shy away from it. He hasn't had the best year. Obviously, a lot of expectation on his shoulders coming off an All-Australian season last year, and he probably hasn't lived up to it. But, I'm hoping this is like he's going to peak at the right time, because he was a monster. He could have kicked 7 if he wanted to. There was probably a couple shots that he probably should have put away and didn't. But, it seems like his marking was back to where it should be. I think he had 10 or 9.
Yeah.
And, he's a monster when he wants to be, and I really hope he carries the form from Saturday night. And even, a couple games previously, obviously the Essendon game, I really hope he carries that form through. And then Fogg as well, he was in ripping form before he got suspended, and he's kind of carried that on as well. I think he took 9 marks as well, kicked 3. You can't really ask much more of the big forwards at the moment. And, the fact that Tex kicked 6, Fogg kicked 3, Thilth kicked 3. Unbelievable performance from all of them. But yeah, I think Thilth and Fogg definitely both deserve a shout out, because Fogg's in unbelievable form at the moment. And, I harped on so much at the start of the year about how good I thought he could be if he kind of got some consistency and started leading at the ball and stuff. And I mean, obviously I didn't fucking do anything. It's not like I had a conversation with the bloke, but it's good to see him, return to that form that we know he can. And then, same for Thilth. He's been, like I said at the start, he's been a bit average this year, but to see him hopefully turn a corner and turn it on right before September, you can't really be happier, I don't think.
Another player you forgot to mention that kicked 3 goals himself was
Don't do it. Do not do it.
In the confinements of this podcast, a much maligned Ben Keys.
No.
You have to just give flowers to the man every now and then. Not every week. He hasn't really earned that yet this year, but
no. Call me Nathan Story, because I'm not letting you know. We are not gassing Ben Keys for kicking 3 against bloody GWS, who are 12th. Can he do it against an opposition that's actually good when the game matters? Because I have nothing against the bloke, and I'm channeling my inner Dice here, because he's not here to do it for me. But
it's clearly you do.
No, I have nothing against him as a person. He dragged this club out of the depths of hell, pulled us through Hades, got us to the other side, and I'll forever be indebted to him for that. But just be consistent, bro. Like, obviously, he's jokes aside, yeah, he was fucking unbelievable on Saturday night. He was unreal. I think he had 25. He had like 400 meters. Yeah, but do it when it matters, not against 12th in a 10-goal win. That is the only gripe I have with Ben Keys. Like, I don't hate him as a player. I hate his inconsistency, and I hate how often he disappears in big games. And I've made that clear from the start. And I know that I'll probably get like a bunch of shit for, having that opinion, and that's fine. But, and I will be so incredibly happy to eat my words. I will do it incredibly fast if he shows out on that Saturday night elimination final. But I'm just no. There needs to be a sample size for me because he pissed me off. He played well. He can have flowers. Fair enough.
You're only as good as your last game, and we'll give him flowers for this game.
No. All right, bro. Whatever. Actually, while we're on the topic of passengers and people that stand up in big games and don't stand up in big games, this is by no means a massive criticism. However, it is a massive criticism. Rory Laird, 23 disposals, 16 handballs, -2 meters gained. Come on, bro. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt this week, in that I think he probably uses the ball better than he normally does. I think he was actually able to give a few release handballs rather than panic handballs and panic kicks down the line like he normally does. So I won't go as hard as what Dosey probably would if he was on here tonight. But it's, you know what? It's simply just an observation. People that hang shit on us for questioning Laird's spot in the team. -2 meters gained from 23 disposals. That is all I'll say. 1 tackle, by the way. I digress.
Yeah. And in comparison, Hugo Hulkahan playing a similar role had 24 touches and had 440 metres gained.
Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Second
Contrary to
most
belief,
in the entire.
players have different roles. Players have different
Bro,
roles. Laird isn't there to take the game on and be an attacking defender. He's there to calm the game down, get us in the right positions, set other attacking players up, and that's been
but
his
he
role for the
doesn't.
last few years, really.
He 90% of the time he doesn't calm the game down. He invites pressure when he handballs to someone under pressure out of a pack because he's too scared to take contact. I'm gonna get ripped for that. I can already feel it.
Wish he was
He
Sam Wicks,
handballs.
bro.
Oh, yeah. That was a bad call. I'm happy to admit that. That Sam Wicks call was terrible. I was just really emotional at the time. I have nothing against Laird. Same, as Keys. He was almost at the top of the mountain, fell off of it with us, has climbed back up with us. But I just love to see him use the ball a bit better. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to rip him because I do think he actually played okay. But um, it's like I was saying last week, the game nowadays is so like speed heavy, move the ball, handball chains through the middle. And like I said, he was better on Saturday night in terms of there was a lot of release handballs to runners, which he hasn't necessarily been great at. That one last week is still rent free in my head when he missed. I can't remember who it was in the pocket, but it was about a 5-meter handball and he hit it straight behind him. But I'll leave it there. I won't go too hard at him, but like I said, -2 meters gained. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a positive because this is a player who I've just thought about. Dan Curtin went through the guts and had 22 touches, kicked a goal, 3 marks, 3 tackles, 5 clearances, 300 metres gained, and a goal assist. The more we see him grow, the more he looks like a young Bontempelli, and it's very, very exciting. And I think Dill in the early episodes this year, or maybe late last year, mentioned how there was very similar trajectory to Bontempelli and the 2016 Bulldogs run, and his evolution of his game, and what that goal he kicked with 5 minutes to go. Oh, unbelievable! He's
Special.
a serious talent.
I can't believe it, bro. We're going to win the grand final from an Elim if we're following the trajectory of Bontempelli 2016. It's happening, bro. Anyway,
Simple
as
as
for the
that.
goal, in the last quarter, I don't care what any AFL expert or Victorian media has to say. This was the best goal of the week. My absolute word, I'll give you, far better than the Conor McKenna goal. Total fluke against Collingwood. Great goal, but nowhere near as ridiculously skilled, sensational as the Curtin goal in the last quarter. And I didn't have a great view of it because sort of the game was wrapped up by that point. Alcohol unfortunately took over. That's another story. But watching the replay when I got home, I would honestly say it's one of the best Crows goals of the year. One of the best Crows goals of many years. It was just magnificent. One of my favourite goals of the season in general, not just involving the Crows.
Yeah, no, it was special. And just the way they broke away from Clayton Oliver and, sold the candy, ducked under and just, launched it from 50 like it was absolutely nothing. It was, it was a great goal. And like you said, Dom, he is a special, special talent. So he's another one who I'm really looking forward to seeing in September. And hopefully, even if Pete Ling comes back in the side, he maintains his centre clearances and his CBAs. And
He
I'm not
needs
really
to
sure
stay
what
in
the
that
exact number
midfield,
he had on
man.
Saturday night, but
All right, on my
yeah,
life, all right. He's so good out of
yeah.
the middle. And like we saw, like moving 197 centimeters and moving like that. Oh man, that should be illegal. It's just ridiculous. And we all knew it was coming at some
It's
point.
not fair.
He's always had the minerals in him. It was just where he was playing, and lo and behold, he gets injected into the midfield, and look what he produces. He's a bloody special player.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Now, let's move on to some feedback from the listeners at Proper Crows Pod if you're listening and want to get involved. Brad says, overall, a great team effort. Probably only the one I'd he hasn't mentioned a player there. No idea. Probably only one player I dropped. You still got a few golden tickets left in the bank. Okay, now I know who he's talking about.
Wonder who that is.
Let's hope we don't squander this opportunity that has now fallen into our lap. Top 6 was not in the cards for me, win or lose. What else have we got here? A lot of words for Tex. Pauline says, see you again on the 5th of September. Very well said. It was an awesome game and send off for Texas. Stadium erupting in the last quarter with, I think, about 9 or 10 Mexican waves and everyone on their feet each time he marked the ball or got a goal. Wish him the very best for the future. That's actually a discussion point that I want to bring up. What are your thoughts on the Mexican wave, boys? I'm not sure
Get
I
rid of it.
love it because I'm there to watch the football.
Truly one of the most
yeah.
evil experiences you can have at a game of football. Sit down and watch the game, bro. Oh man, this is such a boomer. It's such a boomer mindset to have, but I hate Mexican waves. The only one that I've ever had respect for was the last game at Amy Stadium against Melbourne. That one, electric. The rest of them, grow up, bro. To watch the game. Tex doesn't care about the Mexican wave going around the stadium. Just kick the ball, bro.
Generally, one of the most cringeworthy things wasn't the wave itself; it was the comments they were saying. It's not the Mexican wave; it's the Texican wave.
That stinks.
Yeah,
that reeks.
Yeah, that Melbourne 2013 last game at Amy Stadium, Mexican wave. That's the only one I generally enjoyed being a part of. I think you don't want to overdo it at all. I don't think I've seen the Mexican wave for a number of years at a Crows game though. It's more common theme in cricket. Sometimes even at the basketball they'll get a Mexican wave going, but Crows games not so much. So yeah, it was an unusual one. Obviously there's a party atmosphere, so don't want to spoil the mood too much. But yeah, personally not a fan. Rather us just not get involved in that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was once or twice, but when it goes on for like 10 minutes and you just sit there and go, oh, yeah, it's coming back again. I'd really love to see what's happening on the ground right now, but the wave's coming back.
Yeah. The funniest part about it was we kicked a goal when it was going around and it died, and then a bunch of people were trying to restart it, and I was like, oh, please no. Like, it's been long enough. Just watch the game. I'm begging you, bro.
Yeah, no, very well said. We've got 2 more comments, and the last one I'm just reading through it right now is an absolute ripper, so I'll save that for next. But Brett says, it was an awesome game. Tex is the king. I thought Jordan was the heir, but Isaac Rankin is fighting for that title. Excited for the next month. I like the Jordan was the heir, but Rankin fighting for it. Rate that.
Yeah, that's good.
And Lindell says, we all love you, Tex. This is your night at your last game, and it was a great game that I will never forget. You're my number one player, Tex. My nana had 13 children, and that's why after all this time I picked for you. Thanks for the memories, hun.
Truly an unbelievable
shout out
statement,
nana
man.
for the 13 kids.
Yeah, shout out. 13. 13! 13!
That's very good, kid. If you have any stories like that with relations to player numbers, please give us a shout out. Proper Crows Pod. We'll read it out on there. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever. We will be there. Let's move on to the votes. It's a hard one this week, actually. I'll start with your one, Matt. Who have you got?
Just to rage bait Dominic, Ben Keys.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go.
Look, obviously he's been poor for a number of weeks. Numbers have been down, but he had a great game, and it was good enough to get the one here. And hopefully, as you said, Dom, he does for the first time in his career rock up in a final. I think last year was his first 2 finals of his career, and obviously didn't do anything memorable. But I think it's a real opportunity after a performance like that to find some sort of consistency and be a very important player for the Crows in the finals. Wouldn't you like to think?
Well said. Well said. That's accurate. I respect that. Fair enough.
All right. Who have you got for your one, Dom? I'm going to assume it doesn't mirror the sentiment there.
It does not. It could not be further away. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Dawson. It's quite criminal having 32 and 400 metres gained and not getting a vote, so he gets a quick shout out. But I'm going to give mine to Fogg. I think he was unbelievable. Like I said earlier, he's such a presence up forward at the moment. And, had another great game, and hopefully he can, maintain this form going into September.
Yeah, 100% agree. Also, shout out Dawes. I'm giving my one to Phil. It was between Phil and Fogg for me, but I think Phil probably, he should have kicked, 5 or 6, like you said earlier. But getting himself into some great form, clunking all the marks and just hopefully building nicely into September, the big man. If he fires in September, it goes a long way for us.
Yeah.
Matt, your two, mate?
Yeah, it's a pretty tricky one. Obviously, had two outstanding games for these two individuals, but I'll give the number two to Tex, kicking 6 goals for the 7th time of his career. The first time he achieved this feat was in 2012 against Port, so there's a random fact for you. He's obviously had bigger bags in the past, kicked 7 goals against Brisbane 11 years ago, and then the 10 against West Coast 3 years ago, so there's a few I can think of there. But yeah, he's just it's one of those things. It kind of reminded me in a way when 4 years ago when we played West Coast and Josh Kennedy out the blue in his last game booted 8 against us. So that was his last regular season game. So to do something outrageous like that and kick 6 himself is unbelievable. So yeah, hopefully not the last big bag we see from Tex in his career. Obviously, we've got some much harder opponents coming up on the big stage where it'll be very, very hard to achieve that feat. But if we can see one more Tex 5 goals type performance like we saw in 2012 against Freo in the finals that we can talk about forever, that would be great. So yeah, it was a really positive way to end his home and away career on that note.
100%. Dom, how about you, mate? Who's got you two?
Any other game on earth, literally any other game, he gets 3 votes, but I can't do it. So Isaac Rankin gets my 2, which is criminal because it was probably one of the best games I've ever seen from an individual standpoint. 35 disposals, 4 goals, 12 clearances. I think he had 17 contested possessions, 900 almost meters gained. 3 goal assists to go with his 4 goals. It was ridiculous. And the more I'm talking, the more I'm convincing myself I should have given him the 3. But I think we all know who I'm going to give the 3 to. So I'll park it with Isaac at 2.
Yeah, I think we're going down the same path, mate. There's I can't do it. I thought the exact same thing. So Isaac gets my 2 as well. Extremely stiff. You definitely were the best player on the ground, but we just can't do it.
Oh, by far.
Matt. Yeah. Yeah. Matt, can I assume who gets your 3 votes, mate? You went the other way?
Yeah, very obviously Isaac Rankin. It was 4 goals and 35 disposals. It's probably overall his most damaging game as a Crow, and I think was it the best game any Crows player has played this year? You could potentially say that. You mentioned it before, Dawson against the Western Bulldogs at Marvel was obviously very good, but I think this one was outstanding. His form for the last 2 months has been breathtaking, and you'd always hope that he'd reach this level of consistency. I think is my biggest gripe with him the last 4 to 5 years hasn't really met that level of playing well each week and just scoring the big numbers he has been. But the last 2 months has been incredible, and yeah, right on the cusp of finals. What better timing for it? And look, it's been a rough trot for him to not play last year in the finals, but to hopefully play this year would be an amazing feat that he can keep up this kind of form, because it's been a real joy to watch. One of the most enjoyable Crows players I've watched over the last 25, 30 years of watching footy.
For sure. Now, Dom, put us out of that misery, mate. Who'd you give your 3 to?
Oh, Joe, it's truly a mystery. But in a very tight finish, I'm going to have to go the Texan. Unbelievable, 6 goals, being at his age, at that time of his career, it went pretty much perfectly. I think we were all hoping he'd kick one last bag, and the great man did not disappoint, especially that first goal. It was unbelievable. Couldn't have asked for a better start to the game, in fact. And I could do a 4-hour podcast on the bloke, so I'll try not to glaze too much. But unbelievable performance, and like I said, he's going to be sorely missed both on and off the field. So it seems only fitting to give the great man the 3 votes in his last home and away game.
Yeah, tend to agree. I'm more than happy to glaze in for 4 hours if you want, Matt. We'll record it after this.
Yeah, sold.
Well, it's not that far, not that far off the mark. These 4-hour podcasts, something we can look forward to in the postseason when the proper Tex tribute commences. But we can talk about that after the season. Obviously, more important things to worry about.
Absolutely. Hopefully, 4 more games to come before then. But yeah, it's all about Tex this week, isn't it? I mean, it has to be the 3 for him. Kicking 6, just dominating. The vibes around the whole Oval, everyone getting around him. Everything went perfectly, and Tex gets my 3 as well. And could not have asked for a more fitting perfect way to send off the great man with the home and away season. And watching him walk around with the three kids after the game and doing that lap was a bit emotional. I don't know if you boys have watched the video on the Crows YouTube channel either of the behind the scenes, but him walking off the ground
Yeah,
was something. And
yeah,
and we obviously
it
still
got
get to
me.
see it at least. We obviously still get to see it at least one or two or three or four more times, and there's going to be a chair off somewhere, which is going to be a bit of a tearjerker, but that's okay. All about Tex this week, and he gets my 3 votes. Proper good and proper crap. We've collectively decided there is no proper crap this week because the week just went too well. The Bulldogs were in the gunners. They were looking to choke that lead late in the last quarter, but they didn't, so it's okay. Matt, I'll start with your proper good, mate. Where'd you land?
Yeah, the proper good, I reckon it has to be the crowd on Saturday night. We've obviously seen, I mean, blessed as Crows fans to see 50K in that stadium countless times in our lives, but for a big crowd like this, I thought it was one of the better atmospheric crowds. And you know, we've had obviously huge crowds, showdowns, Collingwood games, but there was no feral sort of over the top sort of ambience in the ground at all. It was a really nice, respectful atmosphere, very positive, very uplifting. It was just I don't often I've never seen the Hill for the last 11 years be that jam packed. I remember we played West Coast, I think. Even the Phil Walsh showdown, but also that West Coast game later in 2015. I remember being on the Hill and I just couldn't move at all. This was kind of reminded me of those sort of games. It was, I don't think there was a spare spot you could possibly have stood in that Hill. It was unbelievable, and it was just a really good crowd, I thought. And that obviously would be very helpful. We got those kind of crowds most weeks and that sort of atmosphere most weeks, but can't do everything. Can't attend every game. I think it's 13,000 more fans compared to the last time we played the Giants last year. So yeah, if these fans that rock up to 1 or 2 games a year can rock up more often, make us a genuinely well-respected big club with 50K every week, that would be unbelievable. So hopefully we can get that level one day.
For sure. Dom, how about you, mate? What's your proper good?
Mine's just the ball movement. On Saturday night, like me and Josh especially harp on about it all the time, and it was just nice to see some free flowing footy, few handballs, few metres gained, and lo and behold, I think it paid dividends in how good our forward 50 entries were, and I think the forwards obviously fed off that as well. Getting good delivery, inside 50, is half the battle as a key forward. And, when we're playing the long down the line stuff, it's hard to get a clean entry because, they can flood D50 once you take that mark, sort of 70 out. And seeing us, move the ball so freely was really nice to see. And like I said, hopefully it, we carry it into September.
Yeah, for sure. My proper good, actually, I've probably got a couple. Text, just straight up,
Yeah,
let's just say that as a one word
well said.
proper good. But I think just like we said earlier, the pieces just all falling into place. The Dogs winning, us kicking 9 goals in the first quarter and just not, easing those nerves straight away and just running away and doing it easy. It just could not have gone any better. The weekend as a whole for me was a proper good. I spent yesterday with my mate who won his soccer league. Shout out the Parahills West Footy Club who won their first ever Division 1 title, which was good to watch. But just, all the pieces falling into place. I think that was my proper good for the weekend, and hopefully the same thing happens in all the weeks of September. And we're sitting here talking about a cup in 5 weeks' time, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves yet.
Another proper good was the quarter time score. So we have kicked 9 goals to multiple times, and this was, I believe, the 4th time we've achieved that feat in club history. We did it 06 against North. We did it 2017 against Essendon, and this year against the Dogs at Marvel. So it was quite an unbelievable stat to bring up. It was, I think it would have been our joint highest quarter time score in Adelaide, both at Amy Stadium and Adelaide Oval combined. So yeah, it was quite an unbelievable effort to do that, given that we only kicked, I think, 9 goals against the Giants in that win last year, maybe even less than 9 goals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was encouraging to see, and like Dom said just before, it's good to see what happens when you play that attacking brand of football, when you play through the corridor. I was listening to Nixie's press conference earlier, and he said we're not scared to take the game on. And you could count me shocked from a couple of other games we've had this
are you
year,
sure,
but
bro?
Yeah, so hopefully we pull that sort of footy out in the next couple of weeks, not to a point where we open ourselves up too much on the other end, because as we can see, we conceded 15 goals for GWS still, but if we're kicking 150 points every week, I don't think there are too many teams that are going to outscore us in a shootout. So I'm happy to take that risk, and I'd rather, if we lose playing an attacking brand of footy than, the
Yeah.
safe little chip to chip and, no attack in the corridor and inviting pressure, as you and Dose would say. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well said. Incredibly well
Well,
said.
we'll see how we go, though. We'll see what plan they pull out for the first elimination final, and we'll go from there. On to the SANFL, last regular season game for the SANFL team. Sorry if you can hear that plane going over right now. That is loud as hell. Um, Last regular season game for the SANFL team, who will miss the finals after finishing sixth, I believe. It was 11-11-77 to Sturt, 16-9, 105. 4 goals for Archie Ludowick, 2 for Bennett and Drury each, and Bell Crane and Toby Murray kicked a goal each. Honestly, did not watch a second of this. The stats, a few players on the edge, I suppose, with Zach Taylor going out. You'd assume Archie comes straight in, but Billy Dowling did 29 touches. He had 7 clearances, 5 inside 50s. So just keeping himself close, I suppose, in case needed. Charlie Edwards, 21 touches, 5 marks, 4 clearances, 6 inside 50s, had a good game as well. Mitch Hinge, who is obviously looking to come back from injury if the spot opens up, 19 touches, 6 marks, 2 clearances, 4 inside 50s, 4 rebound 50s. Nick Murray went back and had 19 touches, 7 marks, and 11 rebound 50s, so did himself no damage there. Sid Draper, 17 touches, 3 tackles, 3 marks, 3 clearances, and 4 inside 50s, half decent. And as I said, Archie Ludowick, 4 goals as well as 8 marks, so had himself a good game too. But yeah, the SANFL team have missed the finals, so that's a wrap on their season. They won't be held to any corruption through the next few weeks in the SANFL finals, which is probably a good thing because just can't be bothered watching that again and again and again. So that wraps their season up. The AFLW team played Carlton on the weekend as well and went down by 27, 3-5, 23 to 7, 850. Maddie Newman, 30 touches and a goal. She's a star and continues to star. And Ebony Marinoff had 30 touches again as well. An absolute jet, as we know. On to the next game, boys. We've got the wild card game Saturday, the 5th of September, 7:05 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. Now, the equation is...
Game.
Sorry, it's not a wild card game. It's the elimination final.
It's back to the drawing.
I read the word wild card because I say we play the highest wild card winner.
Yeah, I had a feeling you did that.
Yep. McLean moment, unfortunately. So we will play Melbourne if they win. But if Carlton beat Melbourne, then we will play the winner of the Dogs and the Pies game, which is on Friday night. So we won't know who we play until Saturday night. But I suppose we just don't want Collingwood, essentially. I'm happy with anyone except for that stress
give me
and
the
that
smoke.
anxiety.
Give me the smoke, bro. Give me Collingwood.
the
I don't
smoke.
care. Give me anyone, bro. I'm so up and about right now. Every time we play fast footy, it sends a rocket up me, and I'm like, no, we can beat anyone. Especially because they're not going to have Pendlebury. Maynard's probably not going to play. I want all the smoke. I don't care who we play. I'm up and about. And obviously, if I had to pick, I'm not going to pick Collingwood, but don't care. In my eyes, we're going to Sydney.
There's a few. I can look at it both ways. If we play Collingwood, we end our horrendous run against them in finals and just big games in general and get a win, then there's some sort of closure. We can move on and reflect finally on actually getting a big scalp against them. The other one is we've lost 5 from 5 in finals against them. 0-2 prelim, 0-9 semi-final, which might bring back some traumatic memories for some, myself included. 2008 elimination final, Amy Stadium. 2025, don't even want to go there. That's more recent PTSD. I'm probably forgotten one, but it just we've not lost to a team in finals more than Collingwood in our history, more so this century, and it's The moment that it became very evident that they were going to become a wildcard team, and there was an opportunity of us finishing maybe 7th, and they finished 10th, or us finish 6th, and they finished 8th or 9th, or be the highest ranked team. I knew this day likely would come, and I am personally dreading it. Just given out based on that history. We did beat them round 1 this year. We lost them when we were in great form, which sort of derailed our year a little bit. We should have potentially been a top 4 team. That didn't happen. So, look, there's a few ways you can look at it. And if we were to play them and win, it would be the best feeling, obviously. And we can stop dreading playing Collingwood in the future and just move past the very toxic chapter of the last year and a half, particularly against them. So I obviously would much rather play Melbourne or the Western Bulldogs. We've won all 3 finals against the Western Bulldogs. All 3 of them have been in Melbourne. Never actually beat them in an Adelaide final, which is unusual. We've beaten Melbourne 1-1 in finals. I think that was a 2002 semi-final, which was at the MCG,
Correct.
but it was supposed to be in Adelaide and didn't end up playing them because of the old system. But yeah,
Elite game, by the way.
Yes, elite game. It was actually the first Crows game I ever recall watching. I remember probably falling asleep at halftime and waking up the next day and ask Mum, did we win? And we did. So there's a random stat for you. But yeah, I'd much rather play Melbourne or the Western Bulldogs. I think not just so much that, it's also Collingwood will bring a stupid amount of fans, 15,000 potentially, like they did last year. A lot of people then risk missing out on maybe they miss out on Texas' last game if we are to lose. There are so many things I would just much rather prefer than playing Collingwood. And if the Western Bulldogs can do us a favour, or Melbourne can do us a favour and win the games, that would be great. But at the same time, wouldn't mind some closure against Collingwood, because one day we have to beat them in the final someday before I'm dead.
Yeah. I hope so. And yeah, it's a hard one. It is a very, very hard one, because I'm very much in the same camp as you, where it's PTSD. Because I look at it on paper and you go, we should be beating them. And with how depleted they are with injuries at the moment, there is no reason why you look at that game without taking anything else into consideration, being like, we don't win that game, because we should. And on paper, you win it. But as we know, footy isn't played on paper. And as we saw, 4 or 5 weeks ago, how quickly things can change against the team, and upsets happen. So I'm half of Dom's opinion of give me the smoke, give me absolutely anyone, but I'm also half in the back of my mind going, I really don't want to I just don't want to go through it. The anxiety of going through it. That's the main thing for me, because I'm confident coming up against anyone who we come up against, but it'll always be in the back of the mind. So like you said, if the Dogs want to do us another favour for a second week in a row, that would be really cool. And we'd like to apologise for any negative things we've ever said about the Bulldogs. And if you're on Twitter,
I've never once
Twitter,
said a bad thing about the Bulldogs. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I've always been a pro Bulldogs man.
Like, this takes me back to the 2005 qualifying final. We all wanted to play St Kilda because we thought that would be the easiest opponent. We ended up losing that game. Even just in recent time, I think even last year we probably would have preferred to play Collingwood over maybe Brisbane or Geelong, and then we ended up losing to Collingwood. It's just so many superlatives and things I can say about our luck in finals. Historically, we have lost so many games that we should have won in finals. 2012's qualifying final against the Swans. I'm bringing up so much PTSD here, but I can just give so many examples. It's, we could end up having the dream run of avoiding Collingwood, and everyone's happy deep down that, they're going to get a ticket to the game. They don't have to worry about the toxic media for a week. And then we end up losing to Melbourne or the Bulldogs. So we can't get too ahead of ourselves. We can't over-celebrate not playing Collingwood, because until we actually win our elimination final, there's no reason to get too up and about.
Yeah.
Well said. Very well said, mate. Very well said. No, I'd just like to compliment your use of the word superlative. It's that was a nice one to pull out of absolutely nowhere. Didn't see that one coming.
I hope I got the definition right. It's one of those commonly used English Premier League commentary pieces I've used over time. So hopefully I haven't butchered that meaning.
Don't worry. No, you got it. It's good. Good use. Well used, right? Well used.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Now, before we head off, is there anything else you want to touch on? Anything with the wild cards that we were, the matchups this week that we want to look out for, or anything at all?
A quick mention. It hasn't been made official yet, but Matty Wright kind of indicated that he was going to step away from the sample side. So, thank you for your service, sir. I'm not even going to try and pretend that I follow the Crow sample because I am a Sturt boy through and through. But you know, always keep an eye on them just to see how the boys are going. So thank you for your service, mate. If he does step down, if he decides he's
Absolutely.
not stepping
First
down
captain of
after
the
the
SA
comments he
midfield team.
made, I'll be surprised. But and I'll look like a bit of a peanut here, but just thought it was worth a mention.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, that will just about do us for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Of course, our preview, we'll have a preview show of the elimination final next week where we know our opponents probably come out midweek or so, maybe not in the Monday slot. We'll go a bit later in the week when we get teams and things announced. Give us a follow at Proper Crows Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you may find us to keep up to date with any latest news that comes out. Before we head, it would be rude of us not to mention that Isaac Rankin, Jordan Dawson and Wayne Miller have made the All-Australian squad of 40 today. So congratulations to them. Very, very well deserved and good to see that Wayne got the nod. We were probably a little bit iffy about whether he would with his injuries missing some weeks this week, but congratulations to him. And that'll just about do us. Matt, thank you for jumping on, mate.
No worries. Hopefully, best case scenario, and then hopefully a win as well in the elimination final in not this weekend, the weekend after. So Saturday night, 7:05 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval, primetime, big game. Should be an absolute beauty, regardless of who we play, and hopefully not too nervous leading up to it.
Absolutely, mate. We'll see you there. And Dom, thank you very much, mate.
No worries at all, mate. Always a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to finding out who our opponent is and having a nice preview up next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and go Crow.
Go Crow.